the silent carnival. In the sleepy town of Ridgemont, nothing much ever happened. It was a place where time seemed to stand still, where people lived quiet, unremarkable lives. That was until the carnival appeared. It was a crisp autumn morning when the first whispers began. Overnight, an entire carnival had sprung up on the outskirts of town, in a long-abandoned lot that locals called Dead Man's Hollow. No one saw it being built, no trucks or workers, just the eerie sight of striped tents, a towering Ferris wheel, and colorful banners flapping in the wind. But what struck the townsfolk most was the silence. The carnival made no sound, no music, no laughter, not even the creak of the rides swaying in the breeze. The sign at the entrance read simply, "Welcome to the Silent Carnival. Admission free." Beneath it, in smaller letters, "Come find what you've lost." At first, people were hesitant. The Hollow had always been a place of whispered rumors and ghost stories. But curiosity has a way of unraveling even the firmest resolve. By evening, a trickle of brave souls ventured in, drawn by the carnival's strange allure. The first was a boy named Tommy Wilkes, 11 years old, thin as a stick, and always searching for adventure. He had lost his dog, Rusty, 3 weeks earlier. As he passed under the archway, the lights of the carnival flickered to life. Inside, the place was a wonderland of impossibilities. The rides gleamed like polished silver, the games seemed to call his name, and the air smelled of caramel and cinnamon. But there was something off. The people, if you could call them that, manning the booths and rides didn't move like people. Their faces were stretched too tight, their smiles too wide, and their eyes were black voids, endless and empty. Still, Tommy stayed. He was drawn to a stall marked, "Lost and Found." The attendant, a gaunt figure in a top hat, handed him a leash, and there was Rusty wagging his tail just as Tommy remembered. Overjoyed, Tommy left without noticing the flicker in his reflection as he passed a funhouse mirror. The next day, Tommy didn't come to school. When his mother found him in his room, he was sitting on the floor, staring blankly at the leash in his hands. Rusty was gone again. Word spread quickly about the carnival's magic. A woman who'd lost her wedding ring found it in a pile of sawdust under the high striker. A widower claimed he spoke to his late wife on the Ferris wheel. The carnival gave them what they longed for, but it always took something in return. It wasn't long before the carnival's true nature began to show. People who visited would return, changed. Their faces seemed hollow, their voices quiet, as if the very essence of who they were had been drained. Some didn't return at all. One such visitor was Maggie Hill, the local librarian. She'd lost her daughter, Clara, in a drowning accident years before. Against her better judgment, she entered the carnival, clutching a photo of Clara as if it were a lifeline. She wandered through the silent pathways until she found a tent labeled the Hall of Echoes. Inside, she heard Clara's laughter, sweet and pure, tears streaming down her face. Maggie followed the sound, deeper and deeper into the labyrinthine tent. No one ever saw Maggie again. By the time Sheriff Buckley decided to investigate, half the town had visited the carnival. Buckley was a practical man, not one for ghost stories or superstitions. Armed with a flashlight and his revolver, he stepped through the archway, determined to find answers. The carnival was empty, not a soul in sight, though the rides still moved, and the games still beckoned with their gaudy prizes. Buckley's flashlight beam caught on a faded poster pinned to a tent pole. It showed the carnival's performers, contortionists, acrobats, and ringmasters, all with unsettlingly blank faces. But what made his blood run cold was the date printed at the bottom, 1893. As he turned to leave, a voice called out, "Sheriff, don't you want to stay? There must be something you've lost." Buckley spun around, his heart pounding. The voice came from a man, or what used to be a man, in a ringleader's costume. His face was pale as bone, his eyes twin voids. "Everyone who comes here finds what they've lost. But the carnival doesn't give. It trades." The sheriff raised his gun, but the ringleader only laughed, a hollow sound that echoed through the still air. "You can't shoot what's already dead, Sheriff." The next morning, the carnival was gone. The lot was empty, save for trampled grass and a faint smell of caramel. Sheriff Buckley's cruiser was found parked at the entrance, but he was never seen again. Over the years, the silent carnival became a ghost story, a cautionary tale told to children. But every so often, in a forgotten corner of the world, it reappears. And those who enter always find what they've lost. The question is, what will it take from you in return?